The morning sun barely warmed the chilly autumn air as 8-year-old Elijah stood outside Wilson's grocery store. His small shoulders carried a burden no child should bear. In his thin arms, he cradled his 6-month-old sister Maya, wrapped in a faded yellow blanket. 3 days had passed since their mother left the apartment, promising to return in just a few hours. 3 days of Elijah trying to stretch the little food they had, of changing Maya's diaper with the last few they owned, of watching his baby sister cry from hunger. Today, the formula was gone. Maya's cries had weakened, and that scared Elijah more than anything. He watched people walk in and out of the store, trying to find the right person to ask for help. Many rushed past, eyes down, phones out. Some gave curious glances, but quickly looked away when they noticed his torn jacket and dirty jeans. Then he saw him, a man with kind eyes carrying a small shopping basket. Something about the way the man smiled at the cashier made Elijah think maybe, just maybe, this person would help. Michael Chen, a 36-year-old math teacher at the local middle school, was picking up a few items before heading home. He had papers to grade and was thinking about the lesson plan for tomorrow when he felt a tug on his jacket. "Sir." The small voice made Michael look down. "Sir, please take my baby sister. She's hungry," the boy said, tears filling his eyes and spilling down his dirt-smudged cheeks. Michael froze, shocked by the unexpected plea. The little boy stood there shaking, holding out a baby who looked too small, too quiet. "She hasn't eaten since yesterday morning," Elijah continued, his voice breaking. "Mom didn't come back, and I don't know what to do anymore. Please help her." People walked around them, a few slowing to stare before hurrying on their way. The grocery store's cheerful music played in the background, a strange contrast to the scene unfolding. "Where's your mom, buddy?" Michael asked gently, kneeling down to the boy's level. "She went to see her friend. She said she'd be back real quick. But that was 3 days ago." Elijah tried to sound brave, but his lip trembled. "Sometimes she goes away for a while, but never this long when Maya's so little." Michael noticed how the boy's fingers were gripped tightly around his sister, protective even as he begged a stranger to take her. He saw the dark circles under the child's eyes and how his clothes hung loosely on his small frame. "My name is Michael. What's yours?" he asked, keeping his voice calm despite the alarm bells ringing in his head. "Elijah. And this is Maya." A small cough from the bundle made Elijah look down worriedly. "She's really hungry, sir." Michael made a quick decision. "Let's get some food for both of you first, okay? I'm not taking your sister away from you, but I want to help you both." Relief washed over Elijah's face, followed immediately by suspicion. "You promise you won't separate us? Because we need to stay together. I take care of her." The words broke Michael's heart. A child this young shouldn't know such fear, shouldn't carry such responsibility. "I promise. Let's start with getting Maya some formula and food for you. Then we'll figure out the next steps together." As they walked into the store, Elijah stayed close to Michael, still clutching Maya. His small body remained tense, ready to run if needed. But hunger and desperation had brought him this far, and for the first time in 3 days, he allowed himself to hope that maybe things would be okay. Michael's shopping cart now held baby formula, diapers, and several easy-to-eat foods. Elijah watched every item placed in the cart with wide eyes, his grip on Maya never loosening. "Do you like apple juice?" Michael asked, trying to make the boy feel more comfortable. Elijah nodded slowly. "Maya can't have that yet. She needs the special milk." "The formula is for Maya," Michael assured him. "I'm getting things for both of you." At the checkout, Elijah stood close to Michael, eyes darting nervously each time someone passed by. The cashier smiled at the children, but Elijah only moved closer to Michael's side. "You have beautiful children," the cashier said. Before Michael could explain, Elijah spoke up. "He's helping us until our mom comes back." The cashier's smile faltered, but she quickly recovered. "That's very kind of him." Outside the store, Michael faced a difficult choice. The responsible thing would be to call the police or child services immediately. But the fear in Elijah's eyes when he mentioned separating from his sister made Michael hesitate. "Are you hungry right now?" Michael asked. Elijah nodded, then looked embarrassed. "Maya needs to eat first." "Let's go to that bench over there." Michael pointed to a park bench near the store. "We can feed Maya, and you can have something too." As they sat down, Michael prepared a bottle of formula with bottled water. Elijah watched his every move with careful attention. You have to test it on your wrist first, Elijah said, to make sure it's not too hot. Michael did as instructed, surprised by the boy's knowledge. You take good care of your sister. I have to, Elijah said simply. Mom taught me how when Maya was born. When the bottle was ready, Elijah insisted on feeding Maya himself. The baby drank eagerly, her tiny hands reaching up to touch the bottle. See? She was really hungry, Elijah said, relief washing over his face as he watched his sister eat. While Maya fed, Michael opened a sandwich for Elijah. The boy ate with one hand, keeping the other firmly holding the bottle for his sister. Elijah, I need to ask you some important questions. Is that okay? The boy tensed but nodded. Do you have any other family who might be looking for you? Grandparents? Aunts or uncles? Grandma died last winter. Mom cried a lot after that. There's nobody else. What's your last name? Morris. I'm Elijah Morris and she's Maya Morris. Do you know your address? Where you live? Elijah nodded. Apartment 4B at the Pinewood building. But we can't go back there without Mom. Michael took a deep breath. Elijah, I want to help you and Maya, but I need to call someone who can help us find your mom. Fear flashed in the boy's eyes. They'll take Maya away. They'll put us in different homes. That's what happened to Kevin at school when his dad went to jail. Michael faced the hardest decision of his life. By law, he needed to report this immediately. But he also knew the system could be traumatic for children, especially siblings who might be separated. What if I promise to stay with you both until we figure things out? Michael asked. I won't let anyone separate you two if I can help it. Elijah studied Michael's face, searching for any sign of a lie. You promise? I promise I'll do everything I can. The boy's shoulders relaxed slightly. Maya had finished her bottle and was now sleeping peacefully in her brother's arms. Okay, Elijah finally said. But I need to be there when Maya wakes up. She gets scared with strangers. Michael nodded, pulling out his phone. I understand. Let's make some calls and find you both a safe place to stay tonight. As Michael dialed the number for Child Protective Services, he realized his life had completely changed in the span of an hour. Looking at the small boy cradling his baby sister, he knew he couldn't just walk away from these children, not when they needed someone on their side more than ever. The social worker arrived within an hour. Her name was Ms. Patel, and she had kind eyes but a serious face. She sat across from Michael and the children at the small table in the police station's family room. Hi Elijah, I'm Anita, she said gently. I'm here to help you and Maya. Elijah pulled Maya closer to his chest. The baby was awake now, looking around with curious eyes, her tiny fingers gripping her brother's shirt. Are you going to take us away from each other? Elijah asked directly. Miss Patel looked at the boy with honest eyes. I'll do everything I can to keep you together. That's always our first choice, but I need to know more about your situation so I can help. With Michael sitting nearby, Elijah slowly began to share their story. Their mother, Jessica Morris, had been doing okay until Grandma died last winter. After that, she started having bad days that turned into bad weeks. She cries a lot, Elijah explained. Sometimes she has medicine that makes her sleep for a long time. Michael and Ms. Patel exchanged glances. They both understood what kind of medicine the boy was describing. And what about food? Did you usually have enough to eat at home? Ms. Patel asked. Elijah shrugged. Sometimes. When Mom feels good, she cooks nice meals and we have full cupboards. When she has bad days, I make sandwiches or cereal. And who takes care of Maya when your mom is having bad days? I do, Elijah said proudly. Mom taught me how to change diapers and make bottles. I'm very careful with her head because it's still soft. Ms. Patel nodded, making notes. You're a very good big brother, Elijah. Can you tell me about the last time you saw your mom? Elijah's face darkened. 3 days ago, she said her friend Tanya needed help. She said she'd be back in 2 hours and gave me $20 for the vending machine in our building. But she didn't come back. Has this happened before? Ms. Patel asked. Not with Maya. Before, when it was just me, sometimes she'd go away for a day or two. But she promised she wouldn't do that anymore after Maya was born. While they talked, another officer entered and handed Ms. Patel a folder. She read it quietly, then looked up. Elijah, we found your apartment. The officers said there wasn't much food there. Is that right? Elijah nodded. We ran out yesterday. That's why I had to find help for Maya. She was crying so much. The officers also found some things that weren't good for children to be around. Ms. Paddle said carefully. You mean Mom's medicine and the needles? Elijah asked, surprising everyone with his directness. I'm not allowed to touch those. They're dangerous. Michael felt his heart breaking. This small boy had been forced to grow up too fast, living in an environment no child should experience. Elijah, Michael spoke up. How did you decide to ask me for help today? The boy looked at Michael, his eyes suddenly brighter. I see you at the community center sometimes. You help with the free lunch program on Saturdays. You always smile at the kids and give extra cookies. I thought maybe you'd be nice to Maya. Michael was stunned. He volunteered twice a month at the local community center, but had never noticed Elijah there. The thought that this child had been watching him, evaluating who might be safe to approach in his moment of desperation, was overwhelming. Miss Patel finished her notes and looked at Elijah with gentle eyes. We need to find a safe place for you and Maya tonight. We're still trying to locate your mom to make sure she's okay. Can we stay with Mr. Michael? Elijah asked suddenly, looking hopefully between the adults. The question hung in the air as Michael realized this might be his chance to keep his promise not to let the children be separated. But was he ready for such a responsibility? Miss Patel's expression softened at Elijah's question about staying with Michael. She glanced at Michael, who looked surprised but not unwilling. That's not how our process usually works, she explained gently. We need to place children with approved foster homes where the families have been trained and checked. Elijah's face fell. But Mr. Michael is nice. He bought us food and didn't separate us. I understand he helped you today, and that was very kind, Ms. Patel said. But there are rules we have to follow to make sure you and Maya are safe. Michael leaned forward. Is there any way I could be considered? I don't have children, but I work with them every day as a teacher. I have a spare bedroom, a stable job, and I'm willing to help however I can. Ms. Patel looked thoughtful. Becoming an emergency foster parent isn't a simple process, but, she paused. Given the circumstances, I could check if you qualify for emergency certification. It would require background checks, a home inspection, and some paperwork. Hope sparked in Elijah's eyes. Maya made a small cooing sound, as if adding her opinion to the conversation. What happens tonight? Michael asked. Tonight, we need to place the children in an approved emergency home while we process everything, Ms. Patel explained. If you're serious about this, Mr. Chen, I can start the paperwork immediately. I am serious, Michael said firmly. 2 hours later, Elijah and Maya sat in the back of Ms. Patel's car. The social worker had found an emergency placement, but despite her best efforts, she couldn't find a home that could take both children on such short notice. I don't want to go to different houses, Elijah said, his voice small but determined. I promised Mom I'd take care of Maya. It's just for a few days, Elijah, Ms. Patel assured him. Mrs. Wilson has cared for many babies, and Maya will be safe with her. And Mr. and Mrs. Lawson have a boy just your age. You might even make a friend. But Maya won't know where I am. She'll be scared. Tears welled in Elijah's eyes. Michael, who had been allowed to accompany them, felt his heart breaking. He had spent the last hour filling out preliminary paperwork and answering questions about his home, job, and background. Elijah, Michael said, kneeling by the car door, I promise I'm going to work very hard to bring you and Maya back together. Miss Patel is going to help me get my home ready for both of you. How long will it take? Elijah asked, wiping his nose with his sleeve. A few days, maybe a week, Miss Patel answered honestly. We need to make sure everything is proper. When they arrived at the first home, Elijah refused to let go of Maya. The Lawsons, an older couple with kind faces, waited patiently in their doorway. 5 more minutes, Elijah begged, holding his sister close. I need to tell her something. The adults stepped back, giving the siblings some space. Elijah whispered into Maya's ear, his words too quiet for anyone else to hear. The baby reached up and touched his face, making him smile through his tears. Finally, he allowed Ms. Patel to take Maya. Tell Mrs. Wilson she likes to be rocked when she can't sleep, and she gets scared of loud noises. I'll make sure she knows, Ms. Patel promised. Watching the car drive away with Maya inside was the hardest thing Elijah had ever done. Michael stayed until the boy was settled in the Lawsons' home, promising to visit the next day. As Michael drove home to prepare his apartment for inspection, he couldn't stop thinking about the brave little boy and his baby sister. He made phone calls to his sister, his principal, and a lawyer friend, determined to navigate the complex system that now held the children's fate. That night, in 2 different homes across town, neither Elijah nor Maya slept well, both missing the comfort of being together, the one constant they had always counted on. Michael barely slept that night. His apartment, usually so quiet and orderly, was now in a state of transformation. He moved his desk from the spare bedroom to the living room corner and assembled the crib his sister had dropped off from her own children's younger days. The home inspection was scheduled for 10 a.m. Michael scrubbed every surface, secured cabinets, and covered electrical outlets. By morning, his apartment looked nothing like the bachelor pad it had been just days before. "You're really serious about this," said his sister Sarah during her morning visit. She helped him arrange the second-hand toys and children's books she had brought. "I made a promise," Michael replied simply. "Those kids have been separated enough in their lives." Across town, Elijah sat at the Lawsons' breakfast table, pushing cereal around his bowl. Mrs. Lawson watched him with concerned eyes. "Would you like something else, dear? Toast, perhaps?" Elijah shook his head. "Is Maya okay? Does she have enough formula?" "Miss Patel called this morning. Maya is doing fine," Mrs. Lawson assured him. "Mrs. Wilson has taken care of many babies." "But she doesn't know that Maya likes to be held on the left side," Elijah whispered. "Or that she smiles when you sing the dinosaur song." Mrs. Lawson's heart ached for the boy. "Would you like to call and tell Mrs. Wilson these things?" "I'm sure that would be helpful." For the first time since arriving, Elijah looked hopeful. At precisely 10 a.m., Miss Patel arrived at Michael's apartment with another social worker named Mr. Delaney. They inspected every room, checked the fire alarms, and reviewed the child-proofing measures. Michael answered countless questions about his teaching schedule, support system, and experience with children. "Your background check came back clean," Ms. Patel noted, "and your principal gave you an excellent reference." "What happens now?" Michael asked. "The Emergency Certification Committee meets at 2 p.m. I'll present your case," Ms. Patel explained. "In the meantime, we've located Jessica Morris, the children's mother." Michael's breath caught. "Where is she?" "She was admitted to City Hospital 2 days ago. Overdose," Ms. Patel said quietly. "She's stable but will need rehabilitation. She's given temporary consent for the children to be in foster care." The news left Michael with mixed feelings. Relief that the mother was alive, sadness for what the children had endured, uncertainty about what this meant for his promise to Elijah. At 3:30 p.m., Ms. Patel called. "The committee has approved you for emergency placement. We can bring the children tomorrow." Michael collapsed onto his sofa, overwhelmed. "Both of them, together?" "Both of them," Ms. Patel confirmed. "Your teaching credentials and character references helped enormously. Plus, the fact that Elijah trusts you matters significantly." That evening, Miss Patel visited both foster homes to share the news. When Elijah heard he would be reunited with Maya, he hugged Mrs. Lawson for the first time. "Thank you for letting me call her 3 times today," he said. At Mrs. Wilson's home, Maya was bathed and dressed in new pajamas. The older woman had grown attached to the sweet baby in just 1 day. "She's a special little girl," Mrs. Wilson told Ms. Patel as she packed Maya's things. "Her brother should be very proud of how well he's cared for her." The next morning, Michael paced nervously in his apartment. He had taken emergency family leave from school for the next week to help the children settle in. When the doorbell rang, he took a deep breath. Opening the door revealed Ms. Patel holding Maya's carrier, with Elijah standing beside her, clutching a small backpack. "Welcome," Michael said, his voice thick with emotion. Elijah stepped forward cautiously, scanning the apartment. His eyes widened at the sight of toys, books, and a small table just his size. Then he looked up at Michael with the first real smile since they'd met. "You kept your promise," Elijah said simply. Michael knelt to the boy's level. "I always will." The first night in Michael's apartment was harder than any of them expected. Maya woke up crying every 2 hours, confused by the unfamiliar surroundings. Each time, Elijah jumped up before Michael could even reach the door. She needs her elephant sound, Elijah explained at 2 a.m., his small body slumped with exhaustion. Mom's phone had a special sound that helped her sleep. Michael, running on coffee and determination, searched online until he found jungle sounds that included elephants. The deep rumbling calls finally soothed Maya back to sleep. By morning, dark circles framed all 3 pairs of eyes in the apartment. Michael prepared breakfast while Elijah hovered nearby, keeping one hand on Maya's carrier. "You can sit down, Elijah. I'll watch her," Michael offered. "I'm okay," the boy insisted. "She gets scared in new places." Michael recognized the pattern forming. Elijah wouldn't let Maya out of his sight, wouldn't allow anyone else to feed or comfort her. The boy was attempting to be both brother and parent, a role no 8-year-old should bear. On the 3rd day, Ms. Patel visited to check on their progress. She watched as Elijah demonstrated how he could prepare Maya's bottle all by himself. "You're very good at taking care of your sister," Ms. Patel said. "But you know what? It's okay to let Michael help too." Elijah's face tightened. "What if he does it wrong?" "Then you can teach him," Ms. Patel suggested. "Just like you taught Mrs. Wilson about Maya's favorite songs." Later that afternoon, Michael found Elijah standing by the window, watching other children play in the courtyard below. "Would you like to go outside?" Michael asked. "We could take Maya in her stroller." Elijah shook his head. "What if Mom comes looking for us here?" Michael sat beside him. "Miss Patel is visiting your mom in the hospital today. She knows where you are, and when she's feeling better, she'll come see you." "Is she sick?" Elijah asked, his voice small. "She is, but not the kind of sick like a cold," Michael explained carefully. "It's a sickness that makes it hard for her to make good choices sometimes. The doctors are helping her get better." Elijah seemed to understand more than a child his age should. "Because of her medicine? The one in the needles?" Michael nodded. "Yes, that medicine isn't the kind that helps people." The boy leaned against the window. "Sometimes she promised to stop taking it. She'd be really happy for a while and make pancakes shaped like animals." His voice wavered, but then the sad days would come back. That night, Michael read bedtime stories until both children fell asleep. He watched them breathing peacefully and felt a fierce protectiveness wash over him. Somehow, in just a few days, these children had claimed a piece of his heart. The breakthrough came unexpectedly the following week. Michael was preparing dinner when he heard a crash from the living room. He rushed in to find Maya's bottle spilled across the floor and Elijah frantically trying to clean it up. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Please don't be mad," Elijah cried, his hands shaking as he tried to soak up the formula with his own shirt. Michael knelt beside him. "It's just a spill, Elijah. No one's upset." The boy looked up with tear-filled eyes. "Mom would get really angry when I wasted things, especially when we didn't have much food left." Michael gently took the soaked shirt from Elijah's hands. "You're not wasting anything. We have plenty more formula, and you don't have to clean up all by yourself anymore." Something broke inside the little boy. All the fear, the responsibility, the constant vigilance of the past months came pouring out in deep, racking sobs. Michael held him close, letting him cry until his small body went limp with exhaustion. On the floor beside them, Maya reached out a tiny hand toward her brother, making soft cooing sounds as if trying to comfort him too. That night, for the first time, Elijah allowed Michael to feed Maya her bedtime bottle. The boy watched carefully at first, then slowly relaxed as he realized that his sister was safe in Michael's care. When Maya fell asleep, Elijah placed his favorite stuffed dog next to her crib. "So she knows I'm still watching out for her," he explained, "even when I'm sleeping." 3 weeks had passed since the children came to live with Michael. The small apartment had transformed from a quiet teacher's home to a lively space filled with baby toys, picture books, and the constant soundtrack of Maya's babbling. Elijah now attended the same school where Michael taught, though in a different classroom to maintain appropriate boundaries. The arrangement allowed Michael to check on him throughout the day and be nearby if the boy needed reassurance. Today was different, though. Today was the first scheduled visit with their mother. "Do I have to go?" Elijah asked as Michael helped him tie his shoes. The boy's face showed a mix of emotions: hope, fear, anger, and longing, all battling for dominance. Your mom really wants to see you, Michael said gently. Miss Patel will be there the whole time. What if Mom is still sick? Elijah's voice was barely a whisper. Michael chose his words carefully. Your mom is working very hard to get better. She's been in the hospital where doctors are helping her. This is a first step. The visit would take place in a family room at the social services office. Michael drove the children there, feeling his own anxiety rising. What if Jessica Morris wasn't ready? What if this visit set back the progress Elijah had made? In the parking lot, Michael helped get Maya from her car seat. The baby was 7 months old now and grabbing for everything within reach. She had started sitting up on her own and recognized faces, lighting up whenever Elijah or Michael entered the room. Miss Patel met them at the entrance. Jessica is already here. She's very nervous but excited to see both of you. Elijah took a deep breath and reached for Maya's hand. I'll go first, so Maya doesn't get scared. Michael's heart swelled with pride at the boy's courage. The family room had soft couches, toys, and bright paintings on the walls. Jessica Morris sat on the edge of the sofa, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. She looked thinner than in the photos Michael had seen, with dark circles under her eyes, but her face was clean and her eyes clear. When the door opened, she stood up too quickly, then froze at the sight of her children. Elijah, she breathed. Maya. Elijah stood still for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then Maya gave a happy squeal and reached toward the familiar face of her mother. The ice broke. Elijah rushed forward, wrapping his arms around his mother's waist. Jessica knelt down, embracing both children, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, she kept repeating. I'm so sorry. Michael and Ms. Patel stepped back, giving the family space while remaining in the room as required. Jessica looked up at Michael with red-rimmed eyes. Thank you for taking care of them. Ms. Patel told me everything you've done. The visit lasted 1 hour. Jessica showed genuine interest in their lives, asking Elijah about school and marveling at how much Maya had grown. She had brought small gifts, a toy car for Elijah and a soft rattle for Maya. As the visit ended, Jessica pulled Ms. Patel and Michael aside while the children played. I want to do right by them, she said, her voice stronger than before. The RIA program I'm in lasts 3 more months. After that, I'll need to find work, a new place to live. She paused, clearly struggling. I don't think I can provide a stable home for them yet. What are you saying, Jessica? Miss Patel asked gently. I'm asking if they can stay with Mr. Chen a bit longer. Her eyes met Michael's. Elijah trusts you. I've never seen him so safe, and Maya is thriving. Her voice broke. I want to be their mother, but right now, the best thing I can do is let them stay where they're happy while I get myself together. On the drive home, Elijah was quieter than usual. As they neared the apartment, he finally spoke. Mom looked better, not like before. Michael nodded. She's working very hard to get healthy. Are we going back to live with her soon? The question hung in the air. Michael gripped the steering wheel tighter, unsure how to explain the complicated adult decisions being made about their future. Your mom loves you very much, he began carefully. Right now, she's focusing on getting better so she can be the best mom possible. Until then, you and Maya are going to stay with me. Elijah looked out the window, processing this information. Is that okay with you? That we stay? Michael's voice caught in his throat. More than okay, Elijah. It's exactly what I want. 6 months had passed since that cold morning when Elijah had approached Michael outside the grocery store. Winter had given way to spring, and now summer warmed the city. In Michael's apartment, windows stood open to catch the breeze while Maya practiced her newest skill, crawling at lightning speed across the living room floor. She's going to be walking before we know it, Michael said, watching the 10-month-old baby pull herself up using the coffee table. Elijah nodded proudly. She's really smart. Mom says she gets that from me. The mention of their mother came easily now. Jessica Morris had completed her rehabilitation program and had been sober for 5 months. She now lived in a small apartment provided by a recovery support organization and worked part-time at a local bakery. Today was an important day. The family court judge would make a final decision about the children's living arrangement. Michael, Jessica, Ms. Patel, and both children were required to attend. Do I need to wear my school clothes? Elijah asked as Michael helped him get ready. Yes, your nice blue shirt would be perfect, Michael answered, trying to keep his voice steady despite his nerves. In the months since the children had come to live with him, Michael had received full foster parent certification. His apartment had become their home, filled with Elijah's artwork and Maya's toys. His sister Sarah visited often, becoming the children's honorary aunt. Michael's teaching colleagues had rallied around him, offering support, advice, and occasional babysitting. The most surprising development had been Jessica's transformation. After initial uncertainty, she had thrown herself into recovery with determination. Weekly supervised visits had become twice weekly, then regular weekend visits. She never missed a single one. What if the judge makes us choose? Elijah asked suddenly, interrupting Michael's thoughts. Between you and Mom? Michael knelt down to meet the boy's eyes. No one has to choose, Elijah. Your mom and I both want what's best for you and Maya. That's why we've been working together on the shared custody plan. The plan had been Jessica's idea, a way for the children to maintain stability while still rebuilding their relationship with their mother. Michael would remain their primary caregiver, with Jessica having regular visitation that would gradually increase as her situation stabilized further. At the courthouse, Jessica was already waiting. She wore a simple dress and had her hair neatly pulled back. The nervous young woman from their first visit had been replaced by someone with calm determination in her eyes. They look wonderful, she told Michael, watching Elijah help Maya play with a toy in the waiting area. You've done such a good job with them. We've all worked hard, Michael replied, especially you. Inside the courtroom, the judge reviewed their case. He spoke directly to Elijah, asking simple questions about his life with Michael and his visits with his mother. And who makes you feel safe? The judge asked gently. Elijah looked at both adults. Both of them, he answered honestly. Mr. Michael taught me that I don't have to be the grown-up anymore, and Mom is really trying to get better. She doesn't get sad like before. The judge smiled and turned to the recommendations from Ms. Patel and the family court evaluator. After reviewing everything, he looked up. I believe the proposed shared custody arrangement serves the best interests of these children, he announced. Mr. Chen will retain primary physical custody, with Ms. Morris having regular visitation as outlined in the agreement. We will review this arrangement in 6 months. Outside the courthouse, Elijah released the breath he'd been holding. So we stay with Mr. Michael but still see Mom a lot? That's right, Jessica said, lifting Maya into her arms. And as I get stronger, we'll have even more time together. That evening, they celebrated with a special dinner at Michael's apartment, now legally the children's primary home. Jessica joined them, bringing a cake she had baked herself at the bakery. As Elijah helped Maya blow out a single candle, Michael looked around at this unexpected family they had created. 6 months ago, he had been a bachelor teacher with a quiet, orderly life. Now his home was filled with toys, children's laughter, and the beautiful chaos of parenthood. Thank you, Jessica said quietly, standing beside him, for saving my children when I couldn't, for giving me time to save myself. Michael watched as Elijah carefully cut a tiny piece of cake for Maya. They saved me too, he replied. I didn't know how empty my life was until they filled it.